The sound is very exciting. Well, hello. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Thailand Space 2023, fostering the global value change. Well, a big round of applause for me would be nice. ขอเสียงปรบมือให้ผมนิดนึงก็ดีนะฮะ My name is พี่ภูพุ่มแก้วกล้านะครับ I will take it from here. I'm going to be your host for the rest of this afternoon. So I hope you guys enjoy, and there will be more people coming in, I believe. As you all know that this event is organized by GISTDA, which is the leading organization responsible for developing space technology and geoinformatics applications to be beneficial to the general public. And one of a very important partner who made this event possible is Airbus Company. So a big round of applause for Airbus Company. Thank you so much. Airbus is the world's largest manufacturer of airlines and other aerospace products, and also have a strong vision of how space technology could change our life in so many ways. And over the past years, Airbus has long contributed to the development of space ecosystem. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Olivier Chauvet, the Regional Director, Airbus Defense and Space, to express vision of Airbus to the development of space ecosystem. Please welcome.
Okay. Can we have the slide? So, hello everybody. Sorry. Thank you very much. So, I'm representing Airbus Defense and Space, and I will be the speaker today to talk about how we contribute to the development of the space ecosystem. I've been asked several times these questions from public or private stakeholders. How can we successfully develop our space economy? How can I invite private sector or investor to invest into space? How Europe has become such a leading space nation? These questions are legitimate. In 50 years, we have seen men walking on the moon, an incredible international cooperation to create the International Space Station, telecommunication covering the entire planet, and major scientific discoveries through revolutionary space probes, and more to come in an unprecedented short lapse of time. That's why we are here today. We are all space passionate. The experience of Airbus and Europe is very unique. We believe that space technology is a source of interest for humanity, for science, to monitor climate change, and to help the world in a very sustainable way. We at Airbus have continuously shared our space know-how with nations aiming at the same objective. Let me explain you how Airbus successfully developed the space ecosystem worldwide. First of all, we will review what is an efficient space ecosystem, meaning who are the various stakeholders involved and how it is supported by a national roadmap. Second, too, how Airbus is contributed to this space ecosystem thanks to our European roots. And number three, we will review a success story, which is TEOS 2. So let me start with the how we reach a successful space ecosystem. Everything starts with the government. The governments define a roadmap and give some priorities. What are the country priorities in terms of space development? Which technologies area you want to invest into? Then the government implement policies that will help to develop this roadmap. The government will also create incentives for private sector to come to this environment. As you see, the role of the government is essential to create a favorable environment to foster space ecosystem and to lead For that, you need a national space agency. Based on these government strategies, the universities and educational institutions lay the foundation of key space technologies. First of all, they enable researchers, engineers, technicians who are going to support the technologies, the space technology for the future. And secondly, they are a very active actor of the fundamental research for the targeted technology. And in this favorable environment, the SMEs, the startups, as well as large-scale corporations, invest in the space economy to support a national roadmap. Because the space technology is a very high technology, and it requires a lot of investment. All leading space nations have followed this pattern, and this is the case also for Europe. ESA, the European Space Agencies, along with all the national space agencies, are defining the space strategy for Europe and the means to achieve it. Thanks to a network of renowned universities in Europe, Europe is educating highly skilled professionals and preparing the ground for the future technology. Europe has become a key player in space exploration and scientific missions, and a world leader in telecommunication and Earth observation. For instance, JUICE, which has been launched in April this year, it's a European-funded program, and this spacecraft is going to travel 600 million kilometers to reach Jupiter and start to make some research on the icy moons of Jupiter. This will require a 6-year journey, so it's a very impressive achievement. This leadership of Europe, is also supported by a sovereign access to space. Thanks to the very famous Ariane launchers, and Ariane 6 will start its operation in 2024, replacing the extremely reliable Ariane 5. And thanks also to our very famous spaceport in French Guiana, in which a huge delegation of Thai government and GISTDA have been able to come and witness with us the successful launch of TIROS-2. So because Airbus has European roots, we are involved in all aspects of the space programs. So you may wonder, what is Airbus' role in this space ecosystem? First of all, as I said, we have European roots. This means that Airbus was built with the cooperation of 22 state members of ESA. We have different languages, we have different cultures. We learn from each other, and we develop a strong cooperation across Europe to form a united company. I'm very often asked where this satellite is built in Europe. Well, the answer is a little bit complex. Most of the parts are coming from all our home nations. Solar panels are coming from Netherlands or Germany. We have the onboard computers coming, or telecommunication payload coming from the UK. So you see many countries are contributing. At the end, there will be one integration center, but definitely every spacecraft of Airbus is European, but not only. The partnership, as I say, is the DNA of Airbus. We served many customers worldwide, and we developed strong relationship. Beyond supplying spacecraft or space services, we are establishing a global supply chain, and we source from outside Europe because we believe that the partnership is essential for the development of space technology. This is why Airbus aims to support space ecosystem worldwide. Let me give you an example exactly of what happened here in Thailand thanks to TIROS-2. TIROS-2 is a remarkable example of successful development of local ecosystem. So of course, you have been told, you heard on the news about TIROS-2 successful launch. So this satellite is going to bring a very high resolution imagery to GISTDA with a 50 centimeter resolution. The first images are already being processed and received by GISTDA. And very soon, GISTDA will be able to continue its role to distribute very high quality and valuable data. This satellite, of course, contributes to GISTDA leadership in highly reliable space imagery. But TEOS-2 is not only that. TEOS-2 is also TEOS-2A. It's a smaller satellite, but this smaller satellite has been co-developed and assembled with Airbus, between Airbus and GISTDA. And it was finally tested in the brand new AIT center of GISTDA in Sriracha. For this project, 20 engineers from GISTDA have been trained in Airbus in the UK. And they are now ready to lead and manage the design and the assembly of new future satellites for Thailand. Equally important also to this project, 10 local suppliers have been qualified to supply parts of this satellite. So what it means? It means that GISTDA Space Center in Sriracha has become a center of competence in Thailand to develop spacecraft. GISTDA can support the design, the manufacturing, and can support the project for both public and private sectors. And also, very important, they can also help the suppliers to get qualified and to access the space technology market. The third pillar, which is also extremely important, is the downstream market. And actually, this is one of GISTDA's top priorities. Because space data are valuable, GISTDA and Airbus have co-developed a platform that combine multi-source data and deliver actionable data to the users. It is called AIP, for Actionable Intelligence Policy, and it has the ability to provide to public agencies an actionable dashboard made of very complex data which are mixed together from different sources plus indicators. We believe with GISTDA that this technology, this AIP, will generate more than 1,000 skilled jobs here in Thailand. And we forecast that there will be further development to support the public and the private sector. And by the way, it was highlighted this morning by Thaicom on the space application. The downstream market is becoming a real market with a lot of growth. The space ambitions also of GISTDA leads to an increase in partnerships with university. There is a strong interest to develop space technology courses, dedicated courses for the engineers to come. We have seen funding of PhDs on this sector, especially on the AI, for instance. And of course, it was also accompanied by a good cooperation between France and Thailand. To quite a few, we have an exchange of students between France and Thailand related to the space technology. And additionally, I would like to highlight something which is very important and we believe at Airbus is fundamental. This is the Space Inspirium. So if you go to the GISTDA booth, you can see there is a small dedicated area for the Space Inspirium. We believe in Airbus that the vocation for space starts when you are very young. And this morning in the panel, there was some discussion about if the kids want to be astronauts or be in the space technology. I believe so. I believe, but we need to bring to the children and to the teenagers the knowledge about what is all about the space technology. So GISTDA had this initiative to create the Space Inspirium in Sriracha. In this center, the children and teenagers can discover space technology, get awareness, and be inspired to become pioneers and leaders in the space world. And now with Airbus, we are very proud to announce that very soon we are going to start a dedicated activity at the Space Inspirium, and we will open very soon an activity which is around TEOS-2 and the use of satellites and how it is built. So as I said, it's part of the ecosystem education, bringing the kids to the right level and to the inspiration is fundamental. So, at Airbus we say, we pioneer sustainable aerospace for a safe and united world. I think this Airbus purpose is particularly true for space. We believe that partnership is fundamental to develop space technology. And this is why we are the partner of choice to develop the space ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olivier. Thank you for your sharing. It's very inspiring. And thank you for your wonderful vision of the Airbus that goes beyond the sky to outer space. And thank you for your contribution and working with GISTDA. Up next, we're going to take a mini break for like 5 minutes, and then we will come back with the plenary, the third plenary of the day. So please remain seated, and then we'll be back in like 5 minutes. Thank you very much. ขอพัก 5 นาทีนะครับ เดี๋ยวขออนุญาตจัดเวทีนิดนึงแล้วเดี๋ยวเรากลับขึ้นมาว่ากันต่อครับ Hello again. Welcome back to Thailand Space Week 2023, Fostering Global Value Change, organized by GISTDA. Up next, we are going to have our third plenary. We had two plenary before in the morning, which are the space data transforming into policies and then transforming into actions. And the other is how space projects can drive people, prosperities, and sustainabilities. But the third plenary that we are about to have right now will come by the topic of harnessing growth in the Asia-Pacific new space economy. And our guests for this session are from many countries. They are all very, very interesting people, led by one from JAXA. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the representative of JAXA, Mr. Hiroshi Yamakawa, JAXA President. Please welcome on stage. JAXA stands for Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. Next, please welcome the Director of Environment, Maritime, Natural Resources and Nuclear Energy Policy of BRIN from Indonesia, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Khalid. Next, please welcome Dr. Sandy Turtey, Director Global Commercial Launch Services and Rocket Lab, Australia. Thank you very much for joining us. And also, Ms. Claire Jolly, Head of the OECD Space Forum from OECD. She will come by the video conference. So please give a big round of applause to her as well, to Ms. Claire Jolly. Thank you very much for joining us today, for joining our Thailand Space Week 2023, and I'm so sorry. My apologies for keep you waiting for too long. Yeah. So I'll start with you, Mr. Hiroshi, because the collaboration among Asia-Pacific countries is of utmost importance to the space industry. Initiating partnership and extending support to other nations is a big sign right now. And after the happening of APR, SAF were established 30 years ago and become the largest space platform convened space agency in the Asia-Pacific region. So could you please elaborate on the significance of such collaborative framework and efforts and share some remarkable success stories that have begun from Japan initiatives?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank GISTDA for hosting this great event, and also I would like to thank THAICOM for co-hosting this great and exciting event, and thank you very much for your invitation. And thank you very much also for your great questions. And your question was about the Japanese initiative, APSF. And APSF stands for Asia Pacific Region Space Agency Forum, and it actually started 30 years ago in 1993. And it is so many stakeholders related to space gather in the same place, like, of course, including space agencies, but also governmental bodies, international organizations, private sectors, university professors, and so many others. And the point is that it's really an open platform for everybody to join and discuss many things in order to promote space activities in this region, and especially to tackle social economic problems, or to tackle global issues like climate change. And finally, our objective is to achieve a very good quality of life in this region. And for example, the last APSF was held in Vietnam, and this year it was held in Indonesia, and next year it will be held in Australia, by the way. And the point is that Japan is always co-hosting together with each country. So this year we hosted together with Indonesia, next year together with Australia.
Okay.
And as I said, it's an open platform, and so that everybody, every country, or every organizations collaborate in a voluntary and cooperative manner. And the point is that we are not gathering once a year. We are actually engaging in various projects, international projects, and that's the most important point for us. It's not just a meeting. we
Okay.
are gathering and we are actually engaging in various projects. And I'd like to mention 3 or 4 projects concretely. The one thing is that we call it Sentinel Asia Initiative. It is dedicated to disaster monitoring or disaster response by sharing satellite data of the devastated areas.
Okay.
And that's one thing. And the other topic is it's about, we call it SAFE. It's a Space Applications for Environment Initiative. And especially we are, our international projects focusing on not only environment, but also to contribute to, for example, agriculture, utilizing satellite data. And the third thing is what we call Kibo ABC initiative. It's an initiative utilizing the Japanese experimental module Kibo attached to the International Space Station. And in order to, that is to, so those facilities are utilized for space education or capacity building. And the fourth initiative is NSLI. The meaning of NSLI is National Space Legislation Initiative, so focusing on space laws and space strategies. And one thing I would like to mention is that Thailand has been sustainably contributing all of these initiatives. For example, GISTDA is providing their satellite data, THEOS-1 data, for disaster monitoring and disaster response. And also, Thailand is greatly contributing to utilizing satellite data for agriculture by monitoring rice crop fields and also monitoring, for example, methane density and so on. So I think this activity is really bonding, connecting everyone in this region to move forward, and finally to contribute to the social economic issues, and also, as I said, I would say again, to contribute to the quality of life in this region.
Okay, it's from those 4 initiatives.
Yes.
So which part is the most successful up until today?
I think I would say one thing I would like to say is the disaster response.
Oh.
Because so many countries and organizations are sharing their data to
Yes.
tackle, disaster response, because even many countries have their own satellites, but sometimes their satellite is not over their country, over the devastated area, so that other countries' satellite can take images of that area. So that's the reason behind this initiative. So that's one of the most important and fruitful results.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, because I think Thai included, I suppose, we have experienced tsunami before.
Yes.
And it's very important to us to monitor such
That's
a
correct.
disaster. Thank you
That's
very
correct.
much. Okay, come to you, Dr. Sandy. Could you please tell us about the overall picture of these regions? So how has the Asia-Pacific region positioned itself in the global new space economy, and what advantages or challenges we have to face compared to the other regions? Are we following them so far, or?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here, and to GISTDA for hosting this event. Thanks a lot to our partner Redent for organizing us to be here. So I think the Asia-Pacific region has an important role to play, even a leadership role, I would say. I'll give you an example. We are still a relatively new company. We've been launching now for about 5 years. And as a new company, our main focus was first on the US market. But on the international market, our main focus actually been in Japan. And what people don't know is half of our commercial launches so far have been launches for Japanese new space companies. I think a good advantage that the Asia Pacific has over the in space is there is a good mix of experience, but of novelty as well. if I compare to, you can hear my accent, I'm from Europe originally.
Yes.
And, you know, there is a potential to be stuck in your old ways. So when you've been doing space for so long, it is difficult sometimes to embrace the change. But one thing that I've always noticed, especially in my experience in Japan, but I think it can be said for many countries in this part of the world, is yes, people have experience, but because they're a relatively new company, they don't need to change their ways. This is the way they are. They approach it as a new space. So agility, ability to take some risk, that can be debated for a long time. I would say that new space reduce the risk rather than increase the risks. Because, yeah, sure, maybe you have sometimes more technical risk, but you go faster as well. What's the risk of doing nothing, you know?
Yes.
So for many reasons, and Rocket Lab mostly came from out of New Zealand. We also in the Asia-Pacific region. Same thing. You could not find a single person in New Zealand that had experience in doing this, a cryogenic rocket. So when you've never done it, it's not a risk, right? You're not changing your ways. You just approach it with a fresh mind. So in summary, I think the countries in this region have the talent, the drive, the capability, and the audacity to actually take an important chunk of the new space business.
The talent? You mean we have like enough knowledge, people?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very good level of education.
Okay.
I think there is...
How about fund and investment? So you think in our regions, so of other countries, so we spend enough on this particular subject compared to the European countries?
This is a topic that, to be honest, I'm not super familiar with. I know the investments in the US, which is very dynamic, of course.
Yeah, very dynamic. Yeah, good words.
Yeah, and that makes things easier because it is quite easy to find some funding. It's much harder in Europe. I'm not exactly sure in this part of the world. Yeah, sorry, I can't really comment on that aspect.
Yeah, I understand because I don't know as well. Because if it is my personal opinion, I don't think my country can spend enough money to such a project like you know, space technology.
I think it's important to realize that space is a market.
Yes.
And it's not widely understood. Often people picture space as, oh, we go to the moon and it costs so much money. And the usual people in the street usually cannot really understand what space do for their life.
Okay.
If you would shut down space tomorrow, everything stops.
Yeah.
The usual people can only list the GPS, maybe internet with Starlink, but they do not understand that space has a very strong impact on their life.
Okay.
I would not see space as something that costs. I would see it as an opportunity, similarly to what the internet was 20 years ago. You know, large economy has been built around this, and I think this is where space is at. It's at the beginning of a large economy, transitioning from government programs that do science or capabilities to something which is a global and large economy.
So you say that we are going to be familiar with it soon, and then we might spend more in the future.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And sorry, just to come back, you looked surprised when I said that there is good talents here.
Yeah.
The thing about new space is that what is new space? It's a state of mind, but it's also applying technologies that are used, for example, in the automotive sector or aeronautic sector or IT sector into space. So look at New Zealand. We had nobody that had ever done space. Now, the space industry in New Zealand is bigger than the wine industry. That's just 10 years ago.
Okay.
So we leverage a good amount of knowledge that was used on other industries, and now it's applied to space.
Okay. The reason that I say that we might not have so many talented or people that knows about the space economy that much because we don't have YouTuber that can tell about, you know, space technology, so many compared to other sectors.
Well, believe me, 10 years ago, there was nothing in New Zealand.
Okay, nothing in New Zealand?
At all. And now it's bigger than the wine industry.
Okay, in Thailand, we have like less than 10 people that can talk about like space mystery or space technology.
Oh, well, you can make it your objective in 10 years.
Okay,
Or
thank you
5.
very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Sadi. Before we go to Dr. Muhammad, we have some information from the OECD by Ms. Claire Joly, the head of the OECD Space Forum. She will share us about how they found the world space economy this day. Okay? Let's see the video from Ms. Claire Joly. ขอวิดีโอของคุณแคลร์ด้วยครับ Okay. So this video is going to tell up how the world space economy is going on right now. วิดีโอเปิดได้ไหมเอ่ย
Maybe I can give her my mic.
We can't hear her. ปรับเสียงหน่อยครับ Just be patient. Okay. เปิดใหม่อีกรอบนึงครับ We will play it. ฮะขอเสียงด้วยครับ Nobody's hearing anything. So, okay, why they are adjusting it, fixing it? Okay, I'm going to ask you. Okay, we are going to ask you, Dr. Muhammad, instead. Okay, we have seen big growth of space startups in your country, in Indonesia, both upstream and downstream of space applications. So, could you please tell us, or how can startups and small companies in this region access funding and support to participate such a topic? Okay, answer that later because Miss Claire come back already. วิดีโอครับปวดหัวเลย Are you sure we're gonna hear her this time?
Excellencies,
Okay.
distinguished guests, dear colleagues, I would like to thank the organizers for having the OECD in this important conference. My name is Claire Joly and I head the OECD Space Forum. My mission for the next few minutes is to provide you with some highlights on the global space economy. When looking at the space economy, one important element is to see how global it has become. We have different ways to track this globalization of space activities. Here I just have 3 indicators. The first one has to do with the number of registered satellites in orbit. What we're seeing is that we have almost 90 countries now with satellites in orbit. We have also a growth in terms of the number of scientists, researchers, engineers, contributing to what we call the space literature, sharing some of their findings in terms of what new space systems are being developed. We are also looking at a lot of new patenting activities from commercial actors, not only from big countries with large space programs, but also now from quite a number of emerging countries in Asia, in Africa, where indeed a lot of new activities concerning space applications are happening. So in terms of globalization, we see an acceleration. Global value chains do exist in the space sector. Another very important element in the global space economy is the role of commercial actors. Let me stress one point. Governments still play a major role in space activities. They're the main funders of R&D. They're the main funders of space innovation, and they're the main customers for many of the commercial space products and services that we see. So governments still have the largest role in space activities. But what we're seeing is that commercial operators are more and more active, not only in OECD countries, but all over the world. They do provide a number of commercial space services, and they actually occupy a lot of space in every sense of the world. When you take a look at the number of satellites in orbit right now, what we are seeing is that commercial actors dominate LEO Earth orbit, the low Earth orbit, that's for sure. This is pushed, obviously, by a number of actors, typically SpaceX, which occupies a lot of space with its Starlink constellation, but not only. We do have a lot of other commercial constellations in Earth observation in particular, but also a number of spin-offs coming from universities from all over the world that are launching more and more satellites. So indeed, commercial actors do play a bigger role than before. This global growth that I mentioned is coming with a new set of challenges. that may be threatening the sustainability of space activities. There are a number of negative side effects that are actually getting more and more recognition in terms of the congestion, in terms of the number of orbital debris that are not set to disappear, and of course in terms of the environmental externalities of some of the space activities, in terms of the launches, for instance, and their effects on the troposphere, but also in terms of the damages that may come from a number of space launch sites. So these are actual problems that need to be solved. There are also some internal issues in the space industry in terms of recruitment, in terms of diversity, in terms also of the skills shortages that we are seeing, the competition with a number of high-tech sectors. So definitely there are a number of challenges that countries need to actually tackle. At the OECD, we have launched a large project on the economics of space sustainability, where we are looking with the academic world, with research institutes and with space agencies at what options are on the table to actually deal with many of the challenges that I mentioned. The current global context that I started to describe is actually opening up new opportunities for countries with emerging space programs. Many large actors are actually trying to diversify their supply chains in terms of equipment, in terms of subsystems, in terms sometimes of entire space systems. So that provides new entry points for newcomers. The lower cost of access to space allow to actually test a number of technologies, but also the digitalization of the space economy in general and of the global economy is opening up new opportunities to provide commercial space products and services. We are seeing also, in terms of international cooperation, despite the very strong geopolitical tensions that we are seeing today, new opportunities to join different space clubs. A good example is the Artemis Accord, but also the International Space Exploration Coordination Group, which welcomed recently Thailand and Vietnam, for example. In terms of the actual activities of a number of developing countries, we are seeing the possibilities to also benefit from new sources of funding, such as official development aid. There are a number of programs that are targeted at technology transfers, and that includes a number of space capabilities. So again, new opportunities are opening up for countries with emerging space programs. All the trends that I've described in the past few slides are described in more detail in a forthcoming publication that we have at the OECD called The Space Economy in Figures that should come out towards the end of the year. To conclude this brief presentation, let me say again that governments still play today the key role in the space economy, and that means taxpayer money going into supporting space programs. In view of the current global context, the OECD has released a second version, a new version, of its OECD Handbook on measuring the space economy. It provides definitions to promote international comparability, guidelines for industry surveys, and advice on evaluation and impact assessment. The objective is to support policymakers, statisticians, anyone interested in actually measuring better the space economy to actually facilitate data collection on the space economy, both at national level and then eventually at international level. So the objective here again is to make sure that we get the best off from the investments in the space sector. So I would like to thank very much again the organizers for having the OECD. I wish you all a very nice conference, and I look forward to have any questions you may have via email. Thank you again for allowing us to present some recent highlights on the global space economy.
A big sound of applause to Miss Claire Jolly from the OECD. Seems like, according to all the index that Miss Claire just presented to us all, like we are growing in every index, like the objects or the investment and everything that go to the space. So we all agree about that? Diversity. Okay, diversity, okay. Okay, then back to you, Dr. Muhammad, okay? Last question I asked you that how can startup and small companies in this region access funding and support to participate in the space industry? And what do you suggest to some country that they might not participate much yet?
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for inviting us, coming here. It's nice, very prepared, good organized event. Thank you very much. We hope that we can learn each other.
Thank you to you too for joining us.
Thank you.
There will be more people coming next year, I promise.
Yes. I will answer with my presentation.
Okay.
I will not give lecture, but I will start by presentation because
Okay, you can stand.
Shortly, yes.
So are we blocking the view to the audience? เห็นไหมครับ Can you see the more? Okay, sure. Go on.
Okay. Yes. Harnessing growth in the Asia-Pacific new space economy lesson from Indonesia. And outline introduction overview of the space industry in Indonesia, national strategy to foster the space industry. I will come to your question and the conclusion. We are archipelagic country, so we need more the space application relevant to our countries. Remote sensing, telecommunication, broadcasting, navigation, and so on. So we need in for every island and so on. So remote sensing for equatorial archipelago, mapping, land infrastructure, land planning, land ownership, and so on, tax, disaster, as Mr. President mentioned before, warning and mitigation, response, and so on, agriculture, plantation, forestry, and also other natural resources. And fisheries, maritime surveillance, social economic measures. For example, in one country, there are also slum region, we have to deal with it. And data availability integrity is also important. So in this space program, we invite international collaborator to make our dream together. So remote sensing method as recommend the operation of remote sensing ground station and operational satellite to fulfill the national needs I mentioned before. To meet the data needs, policy support, public cooperation, program financing, and public hearing is important to realize the Nusantara Constellation Satellite Strategic Program. BRIN, that is now is the so-called the before is LAPAN, the National Research and Innovation Agency, and LAPAN is now merged into BRIN. BRIN is also the National Space Agency also. It's developing a number of operational space programs such as Nusantara Satellite Constellation, ground station, commercial spacements, spaceport, space observatory in Timor, in Nusa Tenggara Timur, near Timor-Leste, and field station, etc. So that's the Nusantara satellite constellation, as I mentioned before. And field station, I'm to obtain high quality data with the best total cost benefit involving the private sector, that's important, and various funding source. Integrating data from platforms such as satellite constellation, research fleet, manned and unmanned surveillance aircraft, ground station, and spaceport. Downstream application with specific target, fishing use, disaster mitigation, agriculture, weather, climate mapping, regional planning, carbon trading, environment monitoring, etc., etc. So that is located in land and coastal across nation, aim to serve also regional, also global, beside the national needs. So overview of the space industry in Indonesia. Indonesia is host of several national, international space companies. Just to show you the logos of some example here. And that is the sectors of the aerospace companies in Indonesia. And this is the economic values of this. And that is example of the startup or business initiative supported by BRIN. Satria 1, Surya Satellite 1, that is nano satellite with 2 years also launched, supported by JAXA and so on and so on. So the strategy to foster the new space industry, I come to we have national law and policy. I will not go to the detail. The public investment, that is also the key. It's essential to Indonesia's space industry. Investment mechanism in Indonesia is public-private partnership, KPPU in Indonesia. Example is the Satria-1 satellite. Foreign direct assessment, state budget, that is also still important. For example, in the construction of the Timor observation and side application, for example, the telemetry tracking and control ground station in Biak. And I come to the key activities and strategies, that is the industry collaboration. Collaboration between government, private companies, and also international partners to promote innovation and technology transfer. Incubation acceleration program. We have governmental and also private-based incubator and also startup programs. In terms of incubation, acceleration program, and also provide funding, mentorship, resource to startup entrepreneurs, including the space sector. There's also many big companies have this program to enhance their business, but also to help the young people to set up their companies. And human resource development is also important to have the basic for the development. So that is some example of governmental and also private startup, also NGO and so on. The highest one is the three is from the government, for my paragraph, that is for creative industry ministry, and also from startup, digital startup is from the Ministry for Communication and Information, and startup for industry, that is for Ministry for Industry. There's also other ministries who are doing also such kind of incubation. That is Indonesian Technology Innotech is ABB Innovation Incubator is from NGO. Habibie is a famous person in Indonesia. He was the president, also the long time Ministry for Research and Technology, and the people around him set up the Habibie Center, and part of them is the Habibie Innovation Incubator. Idea Lab and so on and so on. There's also other startup incubator from supported by company and also from the university. For example, Incubi from IPB University and also from the University of Indonesia. Just example of that is also BRIN have also this program, research-based startup company in Indonesia, perusahaan baru berbasis riset, that is research-based startup company. Just example, in 2033, this year, we are supporting many young people to set up their business. Then just example, that is the Netra, that is IoT-based, connecting to satellite and so on, and another drone for surveillance, agriculture, and also agriculture-based, and so on and so on. So, just that is I explained before, Surya Satellite, Netrasat, and so on, and BRIN open its facilities. Our chairman of BRIN said that the BRIN, the one philosophy of the BRIN is open access of our facility. Our facility not belong to BRIN self, but belong to the government, belong to the country, so everybody can join also from outside in terms of cooperation. So we have also program research assistant, degree by research, and so on, cooperation with university. The research staff is done in BRIN, in the research centers, and cooperation with university in Indonesia and also in abroad. So yes, last BRIN is also preparing for a space polytechnic. We have already polytechnic for nuclear science and technology, and we would like to have the polytechnic for space. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, a big round of applause to Dr. Muhammad. I think you should fly solo for the solo session. That would be great. There will be more time for you to explain. But so it seems like your countries are at many steps ahead of us, ahead of my country, considering that you have demographic and geographic, so understandable. Okay, so back to Mr. Hiroshi. Okay, because Japan is such an initiator, so I would like to ask you, what strategies or arguments have you employed to encourage the government to budget or to invest more or allocate budget in this space sector? Because it's kind of difficult to my country to convince our government.
Well, thank you very much for your important and at the same time hard question to answer. And it's also very difficult in Japan. But first of all, I would like to talk a little bit about the history of the Japanese space activity. And Japan started space activity in 1955, developing the very first phase of the rocket. And then in 1970, Japan launched its first satellite using its own rocket. And then Japan has focusing on, I would say, science, technology, and also downstream applications. But in 2008, about 15 years ago, there was a big change in terms of the national space policy. And the government decided to add two more important points in terms of space policy. Number one, that is contribution to national security. Security, that's number one. Number two is contribution to the economy, I would say, in the current word, space economy.
Okay.
And so those two important points were added to the national policy. And that time, according to the law, the government established a new strategic headquarters for national space policy. That is the Office for National Space Policy. And actually that office is, that headquarters is headed by Prime Minister. So that means that the space became a very important topic in terms of national policy. And I think that's the reason the government is strongly supporting the Japanese space endeavor. And that is the direct answer to your question. And in addition to that, JAXA has been engaging in space activity for several decades, but JAXA that time was defined as the core implementing agency. Of course, JAXA is and has been research and development agency, but in addition to that, it was defined as the implementing agency. That means we are doing not only basic researches, but at the same time we are developing, launching rockets, operating satellites, and actually utilizing satellite data for various purposes. So that's the meaning of implementing agency. And also, the strategy defined JAXA as, I would say, agency to support the overall activities of the Japanese government related to space. So that means we are collaborating or contributing to so many ministries of the Japanese government. And also we are, I think for space agencies, it's very important to become a hub connecting not only government, but also industry, academia, universities, and also international partners. I think that's the very important point to move forward and realize, I would say again, a better quality of life.
Okay, so to conclude, space policies are matters due to...
Space policy always matters for our life.
Okay.
And
due to security matter.
Yeah, sometimes people think that space is just a matter of science or technology, but it's not. It's not only that.
Okay.
So that's the point.
Okay, so security issue and economy issues. Yes, those are two reasons that all the government should consider and invest more. So, how much did Japanese government invest on JAXA last year?
Thank you very much for a very straightforward question. Well, the total budget of the Japanese government for space is $4.5 billion US dollars.
4.5 billion US
$4.5
dollar.
billion US dollars, and
Okay.
about one third of that number goes to JAXA.
Wow.
The remaining 2/3 budget goes to other ministries.
Okay. Thank you for your honest answer as well. Thank you very much. Okay. Now comes to you, Dr. Sandy, about the regulator. Okay. So, what role do regulatory frameworks and policy play in fostering or hindering the growth of Australia or the Asia-Pacific new space economy, and what improvement are needed? So, do we have so many rooms to improve right now?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the job of the regulator is actually a difficult job. It is the role of private companies like us to create opportunities. It's not the role of the regulator. But the regulator can easily kill opportunities if the regulation is not adapted. And I'll give you two examples that are contrary to each other. I was saying before that when we started in New Zealand, there was nothing, so there was not even a space agency. And the space agency was created very freshly after we were created. And they worked very closely with us. They asked us our opinion the whole way on how things should be. They approached it with a very open mind. They worked with the FAA, they worked with the industry. And I think they did a pretty good job. We do not see the regulations in New Zealand as contrarian. Each country have their sensibility, and the New Zealand Space Agency, for example, is very focused on orbital debris mitigation, and sometimes it makes our life a bit more difficult. When I say our life is Rocket Lab, there's sometimes some mission that we can't do because we don't have enough energy, for example, to deorbit the third stage enough that it spends less than a certain amount of years in orbit. It's still great. We should all do our best for not leaving debris outside. So I think it did a very good job. I'll now take another example that I know very well. It's of Australia. The regulation in Australia there was a regulation that was created quite a while ago, before the whole new space, and the regulation was actually not very good, which killed really the ability for new space initiative for quite some years. This has been fixed now. This was fixed, I think, in the middle of the 2010s, and changing these rules have led to the creation also. It came hand in hand with the creation of the space agency and all this, and so that changed things a lot. I can see now the regulator in Australia asking the industry their opinion. I think the dialogue is very important to be totally realistic. So in summary, rules that are adapted to the reality of the business, now that space is a business, is very important, so you can let the business flourish.
Okay, so rules are here to support more than to protect or kill all the possibility and opportunities.
Well, to some limits, not at any cost. What I discussed before about not leaving orbital debris.
Okay.
It does limit us, but for a good reason.
Okay.
You need to do that. So it's not support no matter what. After all, they have a responsibility. You can't just let the economy go out.
Okay.
But keeping things balanced is I think, very important.
And according to your experiences, so which country possess the best regulators in the world about the space economy?
Honestly did not do enough statistics to be able to tell you.
How about Australia or even many countries in Europe?
Look, the only experience I have is as one of my previous roles was to be launch director in under the FAA and the CAA, under the New Zealand authority, and that's a system that was working very well. So I can tell that this one works well. Is it the best? I have no idea.
Okay, so we must study about all the rules and the regulatory. So my country
And
can,
talk to the
can
industry.
adopt from those countries.
And talk to the industry, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sadi. Back to you, Dr. Muhammad. So we will focus on about talent people in this sector. So what initiatives or approaches have contributed to develop such exceptional talented, and how do we convince them to, work with us in this industry?
Yeah, that is still our challenge to have a level like Japan and so on, but we are more or less the same. So we send many young people to abroad, to Japan mostly. So many bring chairman and vice chairman and so on have studied in Japan. I myself studied in Germany, for example, and we send also still more people. Also, at the same time, we enhance. Also, we support the government try to increase the quality of national university. So that is two ways to get the talents in Indonesia. I think that. And in BRIN, we accept now just PhD people, so not from beginning as before. At the same time, we send our young staff to study master degree or PhD, doctorate degree in Indonesia and also abroad.
Okay.
And we invite also, we have also program, invite researchers from outside come to Indonesia, financed by Indonesia government, also professorship and so on. Also postdoctoral, so we can increase the collaboration between between the researchers.
Okay.
So we do hope that by this program we can elevate our level.
Okay.
So thank you.
So all those answers back to money. Improve the quality of educations. Okay. Give them scholarship to go study abroad. Okay. Acquire many talented people from other country to work in Indonesia. Right.
To concern to money, we have also don't fund special agency organize the budget to send the young people to abroad.
Okay.
And also in national university.
Okay.
And that is part of the 20% of our budget go to the education.
Okay.
20% of our national budget go to the education. So part of them is for sending the young people outside, abroad.
Cool. Has it worked so far?
I think yes.
Okay.
But we need more.
So many students from Indonesia goes to Japan, goes to European country.
Yes.
These days.
Yes.
Okay.
And if I can add something to this, it's not just about the money. Inspiring mission, inspiring objective and roadmap can go a long way.
Okay.
Engineers and scientists are very excitable people.
Yeah.
They cry to get something exciting to do. So if you have an objective that is hard but achievable and exciting and appeal to national pride, you can attract from people from outside, and this is where the magic happens. It's not necessarily only about the money.
Okay, so the spatial issue, the direction that we are going to build something new, something very interesting that might draw many talented from all around the world to work with you.
Well, space has that effect, right?
Yeah.
There
Space
was
is sexy.
Yeah, yesterday there was this visit and there was a display of kids' drawings.
Yes.
Not a single drawing. Every single drawing had a rocket. Every single drawing had a satellite. You know, kids, like you need to start appealing at that level and build it up.
So inspire them.
Just inspire. Just the belief that you can do something.
Because
It goes a long way.
you need to build inspirations for your people, for your young generations. Okay, so they can try to be more involved in these particular sectors. Okay, thank you very much for adding up this answer. Before I'm going to ask you all the last question, has any one of you have any questions? Do you want to ask some questions to our panelists? Any at all? ผมชอบคุณดูไทยมากนะฮะดูได้เงียบกริบมากๆเลยครับไม่มีใครสงสัยอะไรเลยนะฮะ Okay.
We've either been very boring or very complete in our answers.
Okay. So do you understand what are we talking up here? Okay, they all understand. That's good enough for me. Okay. I'll go with the last questions, but this will go to all of you. Okay, you can answer at the way you want. So how can the Asia Pacific region ensure that it remains competitive and innovative in the global space market, and what steps should governments and industry stakeholders take from now? Any one of you would like to answer this question first? Dr. Sandy.
In my opinion, it's all about the missions, you know, having something to do, having something to deliver. This is how you keep your industry engaged, you keep innovation. So more missions.
More missions.
More missions, more objective.
Okay, more objectives, and those are have to be clear. Okay, the clear picture that what are going to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better to do 3 small missions that happen than a big one where you just do documentation for 10 years. You know?
Okay.
So step by step, but clear missions.
Yeah, like our government can state a mission that we will build up the first astronaut, the Thai astronaut, in 10 years, something like that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of excited kids.
Exciting enough? Okay. Mr. Hiroshi?
Well, thank you very much for a great question. Well, as we discussed, space itself inspires people, especially younger generation, and attracts people. So many people in the world will gather if, as you said, there's a good mission or project. And so the government should always support people who is trying to do new things in space. And more concretely speaking, support industry and also university professors or students. And at the same time, the space agency should, as I said, should work as a hub connecting everyone together and invent new type of missions or projects or technologies to change the world and to make everyone happy. So, and at the same time, the industry should always be, challenging to move forward. I think that's it.
Okay, so we have to keep it exciting and challenging all the time, okay, to draw or attract more people to come to this industry. Thank you. Dr. Mohammed.
Okay. I think for the regional, it's important cooperation, collaboration. And we have, each country have our own problem, but we have also the global problem. For example, climate change and so on. We cannot solve this problem just one country or 2 countries and so on. But this is our problems. We have to face together, and we can also, for example, this topic, climate change, space technology can also help in this context. Many things. Thank you very much.
So we can do such assembly like this conference again to create more collaboration, okay, to prevent the climate change or soften it, because right now it's kind of crisis to our world. Okay, I have one more question. My apology. I just think it out. So what will happen in the next 10 years? could you please tell us in this industry, in this space tech or space economy, so what we'll see in the 10 years, okay? New technology, new space aircraft or whatever, okay? Enlighten us, please.
Well, so it's a prediction, so I may be.
Yeah, you can use your imagination.
Please don't bring the video in 10 years.
Okay.
But I think we hear a lot about constellations.
Yes.
A few constellations have been deployed, and a lot are in the making. So, SpaceX constellation is probably the only one that has been deployed really at the moment. But if you imagine that all the constellations that we're talking about have been deployed, you're going to have a lot of new services, a lot of new applications. So almost instantaneous images from the sky. So with a lot of benefit on the you were talking about crop monitoring, talking about disaster relief. So that's something that I've personally lived 10 years ago. There was a huge flooding, and we were very slow to getting images. So a lot of people lost their property because they were informed too late. So all this it helps a lot the economy. So I think there's applications that exist and that we hear at the moment, but there's not a huge impact on people's life just because they're not yet at a level where they can deliver that impact. I think you will start to see the real economic benefit of these space applications.
Okay. So anyone else? What will happen? So what excited things that is going to happen in the next 10 years?
Yes. Well, as already discussed by, I'm sorry, I forgot her name, but OECD
yeah.
personnel mentioned that I think in 10 years, still government, space agencies are having a great role in space activity, but I think in 10 years, many space activities will be kind of privatized. And the meaning is that we already know that space is everywhere, such as the navigation system. I'm talking about, for example, US GPS system and other regions' navigation system. And what about weather forecast? It's heavily relying on space, but space is everywhere, and we don't have to think about space when we see weather forecast on TV.
Okay.
And but further on, I think, for example, there may be some private, for example, satellite for some specific person. And that kind of service might be newly produced. So that's my guess.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Muhammad, you will close the session for me.
I just echo as President Mr. President Jaksa said that government is still will playing important role, but there will be creative young people make further develop, for example, in the micro satellite and so on and so on. That is, I think, in 10 years maybe the trend in this direction. Thank you.
Okay, so 10 years is not long. Anything can happen.
And of course, let's not forget to say that in 10 years, there will be someone sitting on every single of their seats to watch the first astronaut from Thailand on this screen.
Thank you very much. Hopefully that will happen anytime soon. Thank you very much. ขอเสียงปรบมือให้กับทั้ง 3 ท่านด้วยครับ Thank you to Mr. Hiroshi, Dr. Sandy, Dr. Muhammad, and also Miss Claire Jolly for joining us for this plenary. Thank you very much. Enjoy ไหมครับ So did you have a good time with our session? If you like it, a big round of applause, please. Thank you very much. So I was expecting to hear that in the next 10 years, space travel is going to be plenty. We will be all familiar with it, or maybe we might have launched some kind of a project, die outer space, if you have enough money. Okay, and maybe next year we will be here gathering here together again. Thank you so much. Take some photo all together. And thank you to you all very much as well. This will conclude our afternoon sessions, and we are going to have a networking reception later today at 6 p.m. at room M110 ABC, hosted by GISTDA, Thaicom, and Airbus. And there is going to be a special talk by Kun Anutin Chanvirakul, the Deputy Prime Minister of Thailand, and also Minister of Interior. Yeah, Kun Anutin. There is also going to be an award presentation for GISTDA Honorable Partnership this evening. This networking reception is for the people who has invitation only. So if you have the invitations or you are invited, please join us for the networking reception this evening. And I must thank you all for your attention this afternoon. And we will continue our program tomorrow again, start at 9 a.m. Thank you very much for today. ขอบคุณมากๆครับ ใครมีบัตรเชิญอย่าลืมไปคืนนี้นะครับ ขอบคุณครับ